Hi, everybody. Happy December. It's the end of the year. It's the end of the year. And unfortunately, we are missing Kate. She got a migraine an hour ago and is just not going to be up to participating with us. And it's so sad because she does, she adds so much, especially to these kinds of conversations. So today we're talking about a subject I thought was very appropriate for the timing, and that is annual readings. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this time every year, usually it's like the first week, second week in January, I like to do a full year ahead reading. How about you guys? Does anybody else do that?
I've done it before, but you know what I really like? I like doing year-end readings. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but yeah.
yeah, I'd love to hear about that. Actually, how about you, Anne Marie? Do you do annual readings for yourself or not?
Oh, I kind of I find the year it's too far too far to look out. I like to look out for a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months, but I don't like this whole thing. I don't like the whole 12 month idea. And like Yvonne says, I like to look and see what was the energy, what went on during the last year.
Funny
And
because Dee and I were just having that conversation yesterday morning, and you said you don't like them either, do you? You don't like full year.
No, no.
no,
I'm
no,
with Anne Marie.
yeah.
First of all, I can't remember it. I don't want to write it all down, and I don't want to see that far ahead what's going to come, maybe coming at me. So,
Plus the fact you have some chance that the nearer your prediction is to the time of the reading, you have some chance of working in the energy. But I think once it goes after 3 months, you need to review it again because
yes.
things change. We change so much. Everything changes. The people around us change so
Oh,
much.
sure. I understand and I kind of agree with that. I don't do it, but one of the nicest annual readings is like, when you do it by, the monthly readings. So that in April, some kind of challenge might be coming. And I love the idea of being able to get ahead of it. And no,
Mm.
so you pull the five of swords, for April. It's like, uh-oh, there's going to be an issue, and I probably would do well to not engage in this, so my radar would be up, right? I'd be more inclined. But then in May, or not May, but June, 2 months later, it's like you get the six of cups, or the six of wands. You get something where it's like, harmony restored with the sixes,
Uh-huh.
so it's kind of, but I don't know if anybody saw it or not, because I sent a link along with the discussion to you guys. But the very first video that I ever did and I ever put on YouTube, and it's still there, is called "When the Death Card Really Means Death," and that is my favorite. That's my favorite layout, and I'm going to show it today. But it's my favorite layout. But that was the year my father died in 2021, and I did it the 1st of February of 2021, and I called my brother and one of my brothers, and I said my father had been failing anyway, and I said, you know what? I said, this is the year. I said, Dad's going to die this year, and it's going to be in the fourth quarter. And my brother thought I was a nutcase. He says, you got to get over all this crazy woo-woo stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
And my father died October 4th. And it's funny because it came, and I don't remember exactly what the cards were, but what is the challenge? And how are you going to deal with that challenge? Or how are you going to face that challenge? And I think it was something like the death card. And then how are you going to deal with it? The Ten of Swords. You're not. It's beyond repair. There's nothing you're going to do about it. So,
Heartbreaking. Yeah.
I mean, this reading, and if you ever had a chance to go back and look at it, it's so crystal clear the whole year. It's just, it was just mind boggling. And I've done it ever since. Now, for 2024, I've just gone back just recently, like last week, and looked at that, the one I did, a year ago, and it just doesn't make sense to me. So
Hmm.
Mm.
who's to say, right? Anyway.
Yeah. It's hard.
All
It's
right.
hard to know. I do like the idea of you were talking about numerical values and that. I like the idea of taking the years, say 2025, and adding them together, and you've got 2 and 2 or 4 and 5 or 9. So you come up with the hermit. So you know, so that's I like doing that. And then asking myself, what does the year of the hermit mean to me? So
Yes.
I'm just saying it could be being prepared to walk your own path more so than usual this year,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
or having confidence in yourself and in your own version of things and your own resources, or accepting that it's okay to be on your own, or it's okay to feel like the odd one out sometimes. That's nothing wrong with that. That will pass. Or
Well, that's
accepting
good because I feel like the odd one out most of the time.
like a snap, and accepting that it's enough just to be you.
Yeah.
So I like doing that to see what way the energy of the coming year will work for you. And you can take it a step further by doing your birth date. There are a number of ways of doing that, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yes.
D,
By
you get into
adding,
that.
yeah,
Yes.
the Pythagorean reduction and seeing uh what your birth date would say. Say if you come up with the sun or something like that, seeing how will the sun react to the hermit in different situations. So I
Right.
find that interesting a bit. But I just picked a date out of the blue. They're 1810-2025, which if someone was born now, they're fairly young, aren't they? Um, but that came up with the sun and the wheel and the magician. So if you had that, if it came up with 19, reducing to 10 to the wheel and reducing to 1 to the magician. So then you would have an opportunity if problems came up, how would the sun deal with this, and how would he work with the hermit to deal with it? How would one help the other to deal with this situation that you're trying to deal with? So I like that idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
D, how do you use the birth years and the current years? Because I know you incorporate that somehow because you don't like the annual, so you like to
No.
break it down.
Mm.
But how do you use our birth year and our current year to for looking forward?
Well, I use the numerology as well. I use just like Anne Marie said, what either you use your birth date, you find out your personal number, or you use the year that's upcoming 2025 and throw in your birth date. Um, I also take on a number and diminish it down to just one number, like 18 is
Sure.
Mm.
and do that, or I'll take the birth date of that person, whatever it is. If it's a 9, find out what the major arcana is, find out what the what am I trying to think of? Their planet, their if they're a Scorpio, if they're a Pisces, whatever that is, drag all that in, take a look at it. But when I look at a reading for the year, I do what Anne Marie does. I don't go for a year, I go for a couple months, and I'll pull, let's say my birth date. So I'll pull the 21st card, mine's 21st. Pull the 21st card in the deck after I've shuffled.
Mm-hmm.
Pull that 21st card. I can look at the card on either side, but then I flip over the bottom of the deck and read the bottom of the card. And that's what gets me from month to month. And also, whatever those numbers are, those numbers will take me, if I get double 4s, if I get double 7s, or if I really want to be a stinker, I'll just use major arcanas
Mm.
and throw that out as well. So I kind of mess with it. It's
Yeah.
just, it keeps it interesting, doesn't it?
Yes,
And
it does.
I love that. I love that idea. And I just thought as you were going along there, when you were saying you pick out the 21st card,
Mhm.
if you were doing it for different months, you could still do that and say the 20th card is something that you should do,
Mm.
and the
Yeah.
22nd is something that you don't do. And
Yes.
maybe the 21st is you're okay, keep going as you are, something like that. And
Yes.
that's nice and simple. and yet it means something.
Well, I also ask when I'm doing it, of course, good intentions. I always throw in there, of course, you know me and clarifiers. I'll throw one that says, and what's the unexpected? What
Mm,
comes with that group if I'm doing a 3 month or even a month? What's
mm,
unexpected? And we'll throw a card, draw a card for that as well.
mm.
So it just kind of it's kind of interesting what comes up.
Or you could even add another one. Now this could get complicated. I think I'm getting converted to this end of year thing. Or because I'm just
Uh,
thinking you could. I like Dee's idea, and then you could do the conscious.
Yeah,
Doing your three cards, and you have your underneath your underlying card, and
yeah,
you could do the top card to see what would be my best outcome here. What am
yeah,
I aiming for? To have some idea what you're aiming for, or what you would even like to happen, so that
yes,
you have something. So, or what opportunities, maybe take it as an opportunity card that you should look out for. So that would be kind of nice and easy to do
yes.
without
And you
too
can
much
ask,
thinking.
the
Hmm.
spirit want me to know
Yeah.
what's the final answer, or what's the future that I should be looking toward? Am I on the right journey? I mean, oh my God, I could go nuts. But
I've always considered the year ahead, what the universe has in store for me.
mhm,
But I really do like the idea of incorporating in some way. What do I want to do? This is what I want to do. This is what I want to manifest. How
Yeah.
can the universe, how can you help me? And what
Hmm.
do I need to know to manifest this for this year? So that's also, and that's also a nice angle, D. That is nice to, you
mhm.
say, what do I want? Not just what does the universe want?
Yes.
What can I expect?
Or
So
have your list of the top three things you would like to achieve in any one year or any one month,
Mhm.
and look for help with that.
yeah, I love that. So
And
what would that look like? Would you lay out three cards? One, two, three. Here are the three things, or maybe write down those three things and set them down on the table and let those be your intention, and then pull cards. Maybe pull three cards down from each one of those, saying, here is my intention. This is what I want to accomplish this year. What do I need to know? Or what is the universe, what do I need to know? Or what do I need to know? What do I need to do? What do I need to not do, or something for each one of those, or something? That might be interesting.
I think I'd be inclined to write down and say that your top three priorities or five priorities,
Yep.
and work on one at a time.
And
And
we can do that. We can do an annual read and still do that too.
hmm,
That could
Yeah,
be a separate reading. Now, D, I'm not buying into the, oh, I don't, I can't remember it and I don't want to write it down. All you got to do when you do an annual reading is, we all have cell phones now. You just take your
yeah,
cell phone and
I,
record it on your cell phone, and then just leave it. Let it sit there for a year and go back and look at it. But you can speak, you can look it over really well, and then record yourself talking through your annual. It's so neat to go back and look. It's so eerie. It's so fun.
I take pictures of it, Lynn, and I take the pictures and I print them off and I make placemats out of them and let them sit around for that first 3 months.
No way. Are you
I
serious?
how's that?
like,
You do not. Oh my God. So I want to go backward for a minute. I am really interested in Yvonne's
Yeah,
version of going back, or going
You're in.
backward instead of forward.
yes,
Why do you do that, and how do you do that?
Okay.
yes.
Well, the why is I mean, all right, we're talking about, like Dee was saying, I was like, I forget, I don't know, or maybe I didn't write it down. Because I mean, I've had many readings for myself
Mhm.
by other tarot readers, and ones that I've done for myself, that same thing. It's like, there are things that are pointed out. Okay, well, like in August, it looks like you're going to be traveling, this and that, yada, yada, right? And
Hmm.
then in September, I'll, be thinking about the trip that I took in August that was not a planned wasn't a planned trip, right? And
Mhm.
it's like, wow, well, wait a minute. Didn't somebody tell me, wasn't I? Okay. So what I've decided is like, I think what I can learn more from is looking back at the year, looking back at my year in quadrants. Okay. So I have a spread that I created, and it's, it still needs to be hammered out a little bit better, but basically it's kind of like, I named it Reasons for the Seasons, right? And
Reasons for the seasons.
Reasons for the Seasons. So it's broken down into four. You're laying out four cards for winter, spring, summer, fall.
Yes.
Okay. And the first card that you pull out for each season is like, you can use a major, you can use the majors for that. And then, and just bear with me, okay? So you can use the majors for those four cards, okay? Because each quadrant will represent major changes or major things that occurred for you during that time frame, okay? And D, you're going to love this part. So for each quadrant, you will pull three cards
Yes.
as clarifiers,
Awesome.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do the major arcana for the four first pulls for winter, spring, summer, fall. We will take the rest of the deck, and then we will pull, you can reshuffle them if you want, or not, and then just lay down three cards for each quadrant. And guess what? At the end of it, you have 12 cards
Sure.
the whole year.
Yep.
Okay. And so, basically, and I'm going to read what I wrote because I wrote this down a long time ago. But like, for example, the winter, it's a quiet time to reflect and review our innermost thoughts and desires. What
Mm-hmm.
lessons, hardships, and blessings did we encounter during this time? And how did we process or reject these experiences? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Springtime, a time for renewal with all that we experienced during the winter quadrant. Were we able to start the spring quarter with anticipation and gratitude for the season of renewal and growth? What lessons, hardships, and blessings uh, did we come away with during that time? Summertime. It's a time for rejuvenation and joy. This is the quadrant, that where we rejoice and bask in radiant light of the season. We find a sense of hope, joy, and newfound energy. What lessons, hardships, challenges, and blessings did we encounter during this season, during this time? And then finally, fall. It's a time for harvest and to reap what we have sown. We too are welcome to slow down and take time to connect with others, to be grateful. What were the lessons, challenges, hardships, and blessings during this time? And how can we use this accumulated knowledge for our upcoming year? And so that's basically, I mean, it's a lot, right? But I'm a creative.
Serious reflection is what it is. It's very serious.
It is.
reflection.
It is because I mean, throughout the year, we pull cards for ourselves, or we have someone pull cards for us. You know, and yeah, we can write down each time that that something significant, you know, stands out, something that like, whoa, really grabs you, something that whether you pulled it yourself or whether someone did a reading for you. And those are the keys, I think, the key points that we need to look at and hang on to. So I would say that as we do our year, as we go through our year, we live, and we're getting all these different readings. Yeah, you might want to write down just one sentence of something that really stood out for you in a reading that you had in January. Could have been the end of January, could have been March, but whatever happened in that season during that time, during the time of the winter, there might have been something that was really important. So at the end of the year, we look at that and we say to ourselves, okay, well, what did I do with that? Did I do anything with that?
See, this is where journaling comes in really handy is
Exactly.
you could sit
Exactly.
down with your journal for the year. You could sit down with a reading that you did in January, December or January for that year to come. And then you can look back and say, oh, now I don't journal, but my favorite part, and this is where reflection is so important. I like to sit down and really take a hard look at what I pulled a year ago and and see if I can match up. It's like, oh, this did happen this quarter, or ooh, this did happen for me. This was a personal development or a personal reach, and that's really to me, it's almost the only way you can appreciate what your life has been is by reflecting back and
Exactly.
being able to learn lessons from it or say, oh, I'll never do that again,
Well, exactly,
or
because
whatever. Yeah.
if you think about it, and this is just a personal thought. I respect everybody else's, you know, approaches
Sure.
to readings, but for me, it's almost like, having a future reading, there's so many choices.
Yeah.
You have the power to change things. I mean, we change things all the time. We change our shirts, our earrings, our makeup, the
Other people change
other.
things for us.
Yes.
And the thing is that it's a constant cycle and everything's
Right.
always changing because that's life. That's
Well,
that's our world.
I just think, and you're right. I mean, like I said, I'm with you. I think it's the reflection, it's the reflecting back on what happened. That
Sure.
is the key of the whole thing. But I like having that. I just like laying out the cards and saying, how close did the year come to that prediction, and to
Well,
me that's just kind of the fun part, but it's the reflection that's the yeah that's the inner work.
A big bonus on that, Lynn, is if you do that, the added bonus is you start to look at cards maybe in a different light and see
Yeah.
what you thought they were going to be about, that you were a little bit off, and it just
Hmm.
makes you look at the cards a little differently, and they
Yeah.
become more part of you then because they're part of your
Sure.
experience,
Mhm.
and then they settle in better. And I was thinking I'd never manage to remember things that went on during the year. I would have to do it season by season. I love the idea of it,
I do
but
too.
I'd love to do, say, this is now December. I would not I'd love to. I could do it now, couldn't I? Now
Yeah,
that you have put it up to
you
us,
could.
that you can review the last 3 months,
Yeah.
and ask yourself maybe where you could have handled things differently, or how you could have handled things differently, and even doing it Lynn's way as well, tackling it from both ends, pulling the cards, maybe pulling 3 cards at the beginning of the season, and then see what happens at the end of the season,
That's
if
true.
those cards are relevant, and how did you handle things, or how could you have handled them that little bit better.
Right. And you can do that quarterly too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either. Some people, a lot of people don't do the annual readings, but I still think they're fun. Anyway, question for you, about annual readings, because that's what this is about. Do you think you should do your own if you're going to do a predictive annual reading, or you're going to lay out a reading to say what is to come for the future year? Should you do your own, or should you turn to someone else to do it, be it friend or professional?
I like I personally like it when someone does a reading for me. I
Mm.
seek out, I have a particular person that I'll go to,
Mhm.
that I'll have that person do a birthday reading for me. And sometimes, I haven't had a year annual, reading, but I've had it done before. And
Mhm.
it's just fun. It's fun because it's like,
Uh,
it's non-biased, it's wide open, and 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 it gives you an opportunity to hang out with somebody else.
Yeah.
Get out.
It's funny, Yvonne, because I look at my annual readings as okay, on a day-to-day basis, I can't read for myself. I
Mhm.
just feel like I just feel like I'm too biased, like I read too much into it. The annual reading, that's the one reading that I can do that I don't feel I'm biased about. I don't feel like I have any control over, this spread. It's we're all so different, the way we all look at it.
Well, and that's the thing too, because we are so different, it's nice to see someone else's perspective as to, I mean, wouldn't it be really crazy if you did your own 12-month year end and then went to someone and they pulled the exact same cards? Now that would be pretty crazy.
Freaky.
Or even if they
Yeah.
read them the same way.
Or if they read them the same way, that would be, and you
Yeah.
could do that. That's kind of that.
And if
That's
that happened, that would be one of those, few moments every year that I feel I'm so brilliant. You know,
And you see,
you get those readings of those moments where you go, I'm so smart. Because most of the time we don't feel that way.
the beauty of getting someone else to read is that they take the emotion out
Yeah,
of it. What does it
that's
matter
true.
to them? Whereas we're reading it, we're analyzing it mentally, and then we're saying, well, how do I feel about this? Is this what I want
Right.
to be happening? So we're more likely to what's the word I'm looking for? To sway it in one way or the other. Whereas the other person sees the cards, listens to your question, and
Right.
this is what they say. And they don't know all the little stories you have going on
So
about
what I'd like to do, I have two, just because I know people will be watching this, looking for annual readings or ideas for annual readings. I'd like to share two annual readings with you that I thought were well, one is my absolute favorite. And let me bring this, I'm going to share my screen on this. Let me see if I can.
New Year Tarot spread.
Yeah, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So this is, there's a gentleman by the name of David, and he was TarotAvenue. How come I can't get this thing to move? Hang on. I'm trying to figure out how to. Oh, I guess maybe I could just use I'll just use my arrow key. There you go. TarotAvenue is no longer, he moved somewhere. He's no longer on YouTube, but this used to be on YouTube and it's not anymore. So I'm gonna lay this out. This is my favorite spread, and this is the one I used in my, when the death card really means death. You start the year number 1 with a summary of the year gone by. You end the year, number 13, with the summary of the year to come. And it's just so, to me, it's just such a cool spread. So this is what it is. The summary of the year gone by, right, for number 1. And then the first, then 2 through 6 are the career outlook, the finances outlook, love outlook. I call it social outlook, family and friends, and then spirituality or your personal development or personal growth. And then the next 4, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are the seasons. So you've got January through March, April through June, July through September, and October through December.
Okay.
Now, here's the cool part. 11, 12, and 13. What is the biggest obstacle that you'll face this year coming, and how to tackle that obstacle? And this is where I think in my thing, I had like the death card, right? What's the biggest obstacle? Well, my father was going to die in the 4th quarter. And and how would I tackle that obstacle? It was the 10 of Swords. I wasn't going to tackle it. There's nothing you could do. So I thought that was so cool. Anyway, then you end up with this overview of the year to come. And I just really, really like this spread.
I like that.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So if you're just watching this thing, then you might want to just, write this stuff, stop the video and write this stuff down.
Okay, are you gonna have it? Is it gonna be in the is it gonna be available like to download or something?
I don't know. You know what? If it's all right with you, maybe I'll put it on the Facebook group. because
Sure,
I don't have
yeah.
I don't have any place to download it except in my YouTube, except on this channel, that very first video, which is when the death card really means death. It's in there.
Oh, okay.
But I
Okay,
don't
well,
actually
good.
have, I don't have like a website or someplace to download.
Okay.
But I don't know if TarotAvenue, I don't know if it's there. I know it's not under TarotAvenue New Year. I don't think there's a TarotAvenue.com anymore, but if you Google him, I do believe it comes up. Okay, so that's one that I wanted to show you.
Like it.
And then the other one that I want to show, I have to take that off to switch. The other one is where'd it go? Where'd it go? Da 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 da. Food, no. Think or swim, no. Okay, I will find it and I'll find it and get back to you. And I'll just
Yeah.
I'll just have to get back to you in a minute on that because I had it up there and I've lost it. What was I going to ask? So one of the questions I was going to ask is, do you really need 12 cards? I mean, can you do a smaller, will a smaller spread suffice? And what are the most important questions that one would ask? And this is why I wanted to bring up this other one. I thought it was really interesting. But in the meantime, Dee, talk about, if you're just looking for an overview, because you don't really want to do a whole annual. Dee, talk about your 2 card. I thought that was pretty fun.
Well, I just do it for the month. So the month ahead. And
Oh, okay. So you do
I'll
12 of them, you just do them one at a time.
Well, what I do is I have one significator, which basically either flies out of the deck or I pull it if I have a specific question.
Okay.
And then I do it per week. So week 1, I'll drop my cards 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going down. And then I'll go back up and do next to the first card, I'll put 5. Second card, I'll put 6. Week 3, I'll put 7. And week 4, I'll pull 8. And then I go by.
So are you doing 2 cards for each week?
2 cards per each week. Yes. And again, you can shuffle them, let them fly, because my cards fly, or you can pull them and see where you want them to end up. You can do the first row, the minors. You can do the second row, majors. Whatever your question is pulling at you, this is how you can go through it. And then I'll flip over the first card. That's 1. And then I flip over number 5 and see where that is going to take me in the week for that week 1. And I find that really clarifies pretty well. And again, it's all dependent upon what my significator card is. Unless I pull that card specifically, what it basically tends to say to me. But again, I do use the pieces that say, if it's 7s, maybe it'll be down the way or more deep into winter, or I use the seasons like we were talking about. Wands, to me, wands are spring. Maybe I look into that more heavily if I have more wands. Or pentacles, that's the fall. Cups are the summer. So I do work with that, and I work with the numbers that they are.
Got it.
So I make it as complicated as I want it to, or as simple. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Exactly.
So I found this other thing, and I'm going to share it with you now. It's called the Year Ahead Spread. And I will, let me move you guys over. Here we go. I'm going to drop this down to the bottom where it shows where I got it. It was Dr. Heather Hardison. Can you see this okay, you guys?
Yeah.
Dr. Heather Hardison. And then it's Healing Through THRU, healingthroughtarot.com. And she's also got an Instagram. And this is old. I've had this since like 2016, 2015 or something when I found it. But here's what the spread looks like. It doesn't really matter what the cards are. But what she did is she pulled 1 tarot card for each month, starting at the 1 o'clock position for January.
Mhm.
And then what she did is, and then she would pull one overall card in the center for the overall energy of the year, and then one or and I don't know, we've got two here. She pulled one for all the months, and then pull one for the overall energy of the year, and then she would pull an oracle card for each of the 4 seasons on the outside. That's how she did that.
Well,
But
that's a cool spread. I like that.
yeah, and I would think that on the inside, maybe even the energy of the year to come, and maybe any advice or something, or maybe one thing. I don't know what that other thing would be. I mean, you can make it whatever you want, but I like the layout. I think it's a really pretty spread.
It
And
is.
some of the things she said, and I highlighted because I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but what suits come up, it's like what suits come up and what are missing. So Dee, you were just talking about that. You were talking about the different seasons, and it's like if you're getting a lot of pentacles, it's a real earthy, tangible time. It's a time where we're going to spend time maybe with family, time with our house, our garden, rebuild the deck.
Yeah.
Change jobs. I mean, it could be that could be either wands but it's what suits are there, what suits are missing. So what might be missing? Major arcana cards. She said, if you pull 5 or more major arcana cards in a year, this will be a year of full of significant life lessons. And I thought that was neat. And she also talks about the astrological, aspect of it. We talked about patterns in the numbers. So if you get aces, then you've got a new cycle starting. 9s and 10s, she writes, is then you're looking at closing down certain chapters of your life for the year. Check the numbers associated with the major arcana as well, she says. And then court cards. We've been talking about court cards lately, and I never thought about this, but court cards I thought would be like a lot of major, people, a lot of people coming up or people being in your life, but I never really thought about the attributes of the court card. So let's say you get, a lot, you get like a lot of pages. That could be new beginnings. Knights could symbolize action. Queens could show areas that we need to nurture or manage in our life, where kings would show us what skills we need to master, or what areas of our life we need to, to take ownership and leadership of. And I thought that was kind of cool. Also, identifying month. Oh, this is what I liked. Identifying months. This is where it is down here. Identifying months where the difficult cards fall. And that's what I was talking about earlier. About, April, gosh, if you have the 5 of Swords in April, at least I can prepare. And it doesn't have to be prepare in a fatalistic way. It just means keeping my eyes open, keeping my radar up, and maybe not allowing myself to walk into a situation. How many times do we walk into a situation and go, oh my God, how did we get here? It's like, how did I get into this argument? It's because I walked right into it, where you might be aware. A follow-up she says, I've completed year-end spreads for customers only to find them back for a follow-up mid-year. And so I think you're right. I think there's an opportunity there where we might just need to to do shorter pulls. After I pull a year ahead, I open my planner for that year and log each of the tarot cards that I pulled for each month, and then right at the beginning of the month, she uses those cards to plan her month, and I thought that was
smart.
cool. So anyway, I just thought that what else did she say? Take a photo, maybe do a little bit of a journal each month. She talked about. This is my favorite reading to do for myself and others because it lessens my anxiety to get a glimpse around the corner of things to come. I loved how she said that. I thought that was kind of cool. But back up here, that's what that looks like.
And what did you say her name was, Lynn?
Her name is, let me get down here.
Dr.
It is
Heather.
Heather Hardison, 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 and it's healingthroughtarot.com. And I looked and it's there. It's still a valid. So anyway, I can certainly share those links too. I can share those
Oh, nice.
in the on the Facebook group. And if it's okay, sharing this, because I don't think there's a person in the conceptual blending group that wouldn't, that isn't thinking about year end and,
Oh, yeah.
things to come and stuff. So that might be a good one to share.
But sometimes it's a nice idea. I would have written this off as usual about as being too much trouble or something like that, or maybe not bothering. Whereas now with our discussion, I kind of feel it's worth giving it a try.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and one of the things that I'm going to take away from this discussion is the manifestation piece. Is, hey, I'm not just going to I'm going to still do that TarotAvenue reading. I love that reading. I get a lot out of that reading by doing that. I get more out of it, like at the end of the year, going back on that is just really fun. But to sit down maybe and just say, hey, here, what do I want to accomplish this year? And what do I need to know about that? Or what are the steps that I need to take? It's kind of like my 5 card. It's like, what will help, what will hinder, in this process, which, isn't bad to do for that. So, my question, I was going to ask you guys, was it best to do a general broad reading, let the universe tell us what it sees, or specific, adding questions and areas of concern going forward into the year? So it's kind of both, isn't it?
Kind of both.
I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea. Just listening to what we're saying and thinking in that, maybe to give ourselves a chance at the start of the new year to see what do we want.
Mhm.
And instead of putting it out there and saying, what do I need to know, or what might happen to me, or that, say, sit down and have a good little chat, or sit down with some music and candles and that, and say, well, if I could do anything I liked for the year, what am I looking for? Because if you don't have a dream, you ain't going to have a dream come true. So I've been trying to do that, and
That's
then
true.
maybe pull a few cards in that mentality, in that nice space of softness, and the music going and the candles going. Pull a few cards then, and write them down. I think I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is all about, this is
And
your
you were
gift to me.
talking there, you were bringing up open-ended questions and how, in crafting your own spread. I mean, there's a lot of them out there you can pick and choose from, but really crafting your own to suit and benefit what you're looking for, but making sure they're open-ended questions,
Yes, like,
so
yeah.
you have some room to go.
Looking for answers and being prepared then to question the answers as they come.
Correct. Yes. Yes. Looking for something else you may want to consider. That's just because you just may want to consider, and that is interview your deck. I got
Mhm.
some decks that are just
I
body.
just did it.
There you go.
I love this spread. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I do
just did it.
interview my decks at the beginning, and of if I'm going to do a month reading, I will interview my deck, because there's some that just say, forget it, I'm not there.
I wonder if you can see this if I hold it. Yeah, you can. And then you can stop the video if you go back to the video. It's
Oh.
like that. There's
Yeah.
the layout. I'm
Yep.
telling you, this is the best one I have found. Tell me about yourself. What is your most important characteristic?
Yes.
What are your strengths as a deck? What are your limits as a deck? What are you here to teach me? How can I best learn and collaborate with you? And what is the potential outcome of our working relationship? So you can stop and write that down. And
Yeah.
I don't even remember where I got this. I tried to look up and find out, and I can't. But I interviewed this new deck I got, the Tarot of Persephone's Garden, and it's so beautiful. And when I asked question number 3, which is, what are your limits as a deck? I got the world. And I had to call Dee yesterday morning and say,
Wow.
I don't know how to take that. And, I don't know, how every now and then you just have brain farts, right? It's like, and she says, well, Lynn, there isn't any limit. There is no limit. The world is your limit. And I never thought about it that way, but yeah. So it helps to interview the
Now,
deck.
when we're talking about interviewing decks, Lynn, you introduced us to a deck last year sometime, the Cozy Witch.
Yeah.
And I
Cozy Witch, yep.
find this lovely for myself at the moment. You know, it's just a different take on things. Instead of seeing something
Yep.
very solid, you're seeing it's there's a lovely feel to it, a lovely feel, a friendly feel, as if you're speaking with a friend and they're giving you bits of advice, and you're not stuck in some ancient wisdom or looking for snails that are crawling along or doors that are behind trees or anything like that. It's just straightforward,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and I'm finding that lovely at the moment.
Yes.
I would show it. It's called a Cozy Witch. And
Yes,
I would show it, but I took it to my shop.
I'll show you.
I don't have it. But you guys, and it has an oracle attached to every card. On the bottom of every card, there's like an oracle. And it really is terrific. I took that and Claire's deck. And yeah, I took that. Aunt Lily's. Yeah, I took that one because it's for kids in case I get a teenager or a mother brings in a daughter or something.
Okay,
Mhm.
here we've got.
Go.
Can you see
Yes,
this?
Cozy Witch Tarot. I'm telling you, it is phenomenal. It is a
It's
phenomenal
really,
deck.
it's really nice. Really, really, there's something about it. It's straightforward. I'm just thinking, which card did I pick up that was lying around there? It was 13, a broom.
Yeah.
Tidy up your life so you can make space for something better.
That's much better than the devil.
How
Let go
nice,
of what doesn't serve you. Yeah, it's just a
how nice
different way
is
of
that?
saying the same thing.
Well,
That's
one,
great.
3 or 4. Is that what is 13? What's 13?
4, 1 plus 3
Oh
is
no,
4.
I'm thinking what card is 13? I'm getting brain
Oh,
That's
fuzzy.
death.
That's a death.
That's
Yeah,
the death
that,
card.
The death.
that's what I thought to myself.
Not the
Isn't it so
devil, the
much
death.
nicer
Yeah.
to say that you're changing something that is telling here, tidy up your life so
Yep.
you can make space for something better.
Right.
Let go of something that you've been resisting, that you don't want to get rid of. It's not serving you anymore. So
Right.
tidy it up. Do your spring clean, your Swedish deck cleaning on it, and get on there and give yourself space to do something else that really means something to you. I love that. And
I do.
they're all
I like it when they make sense all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, and listen, I got to tell you guys something because this is hysterical to me. I've been reading crystals. I've studied. I've researched. I've put together all the meanings. I'm getting ready to do a series, by the way, and it's going to be a short series, like no more than like 4 videos on how I came to add crystal divination to my tarot practice. And I'm real excited about it because there is no set way. There isn't even a general consensus direction. It's everybody's different. So I got this new stone. They were iolite, which is this beautiful kind of a purplish grayish, stone, and I found a meaning that I just really liked. I didn't really necessarily resonate with it, but I liked the possibilities of it, and it was an alternate viewpoint you've always rejected suddenly makes sense.
Ah,
An
nice.
alternate viewpoint you've always rejected suddenly makes sense. And I thought, I have no idea how I would ever use that, but I want to keep that. And in order to shorten it so I could remember it with my other 70 stones, I made it an epiphany, a change of heart or a change of mind. And the other day, I was doing some book work, and I was flipping through some YouTube videos, and I came across this. Well, I came across this video about changes in Medicare, and anyway, he was talking about something and how Medicare could be fixed, and all of a sudden I stopped and I started doing the math on it, and it's like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And I thought of that stone and I thought, a viewpoint I've always rejected suddenly makes it's like the thing just jumped out at me. It's like, you can't make this stuff up, it's
And
No.
and Lynn, when you're saying that, isn't that what I was saying a minute ago, that I rejected these annual spreads
right.
out of hand, and suddenly
Yeah,
I'm beginning to think, not such a bad idea.
that'd
Both
be
ways
great.
going, nice to be able to go back a bit and forward a bit.
Yeah,
So again, I wouldn't have considered that
right.
until we had this discussion.
That's
Mhm.
great.
Extremely
So I
difficult.
want to start winding down. And does anybody have anything else they want to add to this particular discussion before we wind it down?
It was
Just
interesting.
just to throw it out there, for the listeners or viewers, um, create your own,
Yeah.
Create
I
create your
think
own
so.
spread.
Yeah,
You
craft
know,
something that makes sense to you.
yeah, because I mean,
And don't be afraid to combine it with other tools like astrology and numerology and oracle cards. And we saw that one.
Yes. Yeah, I'm beginning to think that's a great idea now
You
this year
pull
as well.
clarifiers for
Having,
D.
having the softer little oracle cards that come in just to soften things up. Isn't that nice? But it's going back to what we were saying at the very beginning, being prepared, because it's the year of the hermit and it's year number 9, and be prepared to walk your own path and take your own advice and be confident in your own ability to do that.
Yeah. Now, see, for D and I, we were talking yesterday that this is our year 5. And boy, has it been. It has been a year chock full of challenges. Remember, I started the year where I fell and smacked my
Yeah.
face on the dining room table, and I had this big, huge, black mark on my face, and I permanently injured my shoulder. It'll never.
Oh my goodness.
I've tried all kinds of physical therapy. It's just not I'm maimed for life now, but that's all right. But it's been a year of challenge, and I, for one, am so looking forward to 2025 because it will be my year number 6, which is harmony restored for me.
Yeah.
So I rely on those numbers. So
I
that's
I have a funny feeling mine was a 5 too, but anyway, we won't even go there.
Well, here's how you do it. Take that 5 and
Yep.
buy judgment card that got thrown next to it, and that just means repeat performance of something that happened last year, or teaching an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, there you go. Because honestly, judgment card is all about it's about the self. It's self-redemption, it's self-judgment. But you know what? It's being damned to repeat everything. I mean, if you don't learn from your lessons, if you don't learn from the mistakes you've made in your life, you're just going to keep repeating them over and over again. And who wants to do that, especially if it's challenging,
And
So
maybe it's a call to be totally honest, even if it's only to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell everybody else,
That's
but you
true.
could look in the mirror, or you could sit down and tell yourself, this is the way it is.
it is.
Yep.
And you
Because-
find these readings, these annual readings,
Mhm.
hey, throw 1 card, throw 3 cards, make it as big as you want. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
it is.
It really is a learning experience. Dee, do you have anything special going on? You've got school's going to be out soon. You're going to have all these kids around again because you're reading a lot of older teens and younger 20s. You're reading that college group. Anything special happening for you?
But 2 extra ones coming in during the holidays. And I just learned that my grandson is going to be working as a sheriff officer in upper state Minnesota. He just got this position, so
Good.
he wants to come in and do a big read. I said, just don't bring any police officers or sheriff, please.
Okay, there you go.
I'm not doing so, but otherwise, no, just they'll all be in town.
How about you, Anne Marie? What you got planned?
Nothing exciting, but the good thing is that I'm coming to the end. Remember, I've been talking, anytime you've asked me during 2025, I've always been saying, I'm tidying up, I'm getting my act together, I'm trying to make life a bit simpler. Well, I have a feeling I'm nearly there.
Well, just the fact that you got off the phone and onto a computer, it's like we can see you now. It's like you kept moving the phone and we were all over the place with you. It's like this is so much better.
You were getting dizzy.
Yeah. Yvonne,
I think things are falling into place a little bit.
that's great. Yvonne, what about you? You got any are you doing any shows or you got anything going? What's Anything special for the conceptual blending and tarot group on Facebook?
Not that I can think. I know I'm kind of contemplating a solstice gathering, winter
Oh,
solstice, which would be the
mhm,
21st, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, I'm thinking about that.
Okay.
But on a personal level, it is, I am, basically releasing all that busy stuff.
Hmm.
mm,
And I'm going to take the rest of the year to, I mean, it's a hermit year, right?
yeah.
Right.
I'm going to take the rest of the year, which is not too much left, and just for meditation, for reflection, and relaxation above all. And
Wow.
and try to maybe I'll probably do some writing, I'll probably do some painting and think about all the wisdom that I was able to accumulate this year. Because I mean, lessons learned are
Yeah.
wisdom,
Hmm,
Well,
right?
yeah.
that's for that. How nice for you that you get to relax because I just opened
Well,
up a shop in McAllen, Texas. Oh my God. And my shop
your
is
shop is
half the size of
amazing.
this home office. I
Fabulous.
mean, it's so little, but I did put a video on this channel. I did put just a little 3-minute video tour of the Mercado district. And it's funny because as we traveled that 18 months, as we traveled the eastern half of the US, we were seeing more and more micro shop buildings going up. And I mean, it's not something that's brand new. I mean, antique malls have been doing it for years, where
Right.
everybody has their own little section, but this is on an upscale version and
I
it's
love it.
amazing. And so
It's got
I
to be
have been
fun.
now splitting my time between trying to stay on top of my videos and then also in fact I'm posting today my last of my Celtic cross videos for a while and then I'm going to move on to the crystals. I want to do something, a few videos on the crystals. But at the same time, I'm having to learn social media for the first time at almost 70 years old, because I am in a by appointment section of the Mercado district with virtually no clients because I'm new in the area. So this has been a challenge. So
That
It's
could
got to
be
hopefully,
be fun.
that could be a
yeah.
whole thing. I like that idea too, of leaning more into the whole in the technology end of things for 2025. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a nice. I have
Yay.
an aim to do that as well.
Well, I love all you guys and and Kate, and we missed Kate today. And I just wish all of you happy holidays and safe travels if you're traveling anywhere. And that goes for everybody that comes and watches us too. Yvonne, I've got a link to Conceptual Blending and Tarot to your group. I have that link down
Yep.
below. And
Cool. Great.
yeah, and my information on Mercado too. So everybody take care and we'll talk to you later.
Okay.
And happy Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. Happy Christmas.
Okay.